Have you ever taken leftovers out of the refrigerator, warmed them in the microwave, and thought, it's just food? What could possibly go wrong? Most of us have done it hundreds of times. Reheating food is convenient, saves money, and helps reduce waste. But here's the surprising truth. While reheating food itself does not automatically cause cancer, reheating certain foods the wrong way can increase the risk of foodborne illness or reduce their nutritional value. Understanding which foods require extra care can help protect your health. As a physician, I want to separate myths from facts. The internet is full of alarming headlines claiming that microwaves create cancer-causing chemicals or that reheating any leftovers is dangerous. Fortunately, those claims are not supported by good scientific evidence. Microwave ovens do not make food radioactive, and reheating food properly does not suddenly turn it into a cancer-causing substance. However, there are foods that deserve special attention because bacteria can grow quickly if they are cooled or reheated incorrectly. Some foods may also develop compounds that are less desirable when repeatedly heated. So today we're going to look at 4 common foods that you should think twice about to reheating carelessly, and more importantly, how to handle them safely. The first food is cooked rice. Many people are surprised to hear this. Rice seems harmless. After all, millions of people around the world eat it every day. The concern is not the reheating itself. The real issue is what happens before you reheat it. Uncooked rice can naturally contain bacterial spores from a microorganism called Bacillus cereus. These spores can survive cooking if cooked rice is left sitting at room temperature for several hours. Those spores can grow into bacteria that produce toxins. Some of these toxins are not destroyed by reheating, even if the rice becomes very hot. This is why timing matters so much. If you cook rice for dinner, don't leave the pot on the kitchen counter all evening. Instead, allow it to cool briefly, then refrigerate it within about 2 hours of cooking. When you're ready to eat it again, reheat it until it is steaming hot all the way through, and ideally only reheat it once. Many cases of food poisoning occur not because people reheated food, but because they stored it improperly. The refrigerator is one of the most important tools you have for protecting your health. Now, let's think about a common situation. You prepare a large batch of rice on Sunday. Each evening, you take out the container, warm part of it, return the rest to the refrigerator, and repeat this process several days in a row. Every time the rice warms up and cools down again, it spends more time in temperatures where bacteria can multiply. A better approach is to divide freshly cooked rice into smaller portions before refrigerating it. That way, you only remove and reheat the amount you plan to eat. This same principle applies to many leftovers. Safe food handling begins the moment the meal is finished, not when you're ready to eat it again. I also encourage patients to keep their refrigerator at the proper temperature. A refrigerator that is too warm allows bacteria to multiply more quickly. Most people never check their refrigerator temperature, but it's a simple habit that can improve food safety. Another helpful practice is labeling leftovers with the date they were cooked. It's easy to forget how long a container has been sitting in the back of the refrigerator. If you're unsure how old it is, it's usually safer not to eat it. The goal isn't to become afraid of leftovers. Leftovers can absolutely be part of a healthy lifestyle. They save time, reduce food waste, and make healthy eating easier during a busy week. The key is storing them correctly, refrigerating them promptly, and reheating them thoroughly. In the next part, we'll look at two more foods that are often misunderstood: one leafy green vegetable and one protein-rich food. You will learn why the real concern isn't the food itself, but how it's prepared, stored, and reheated. Those small details can make a significant difference in keeping your meals both safe and nutritious. Now let's continue with two more foods that people often hear warnings about online. Unfortunately, many of those warnings are exaggerated or simply incorrect. The truth is much more practical. The problem is usually not the reheating itself, it is how the food has been stored and how many times it has been heated and cooled. The second food is spinach. You've probably heard someone say, never reheat spinach because it becomes poisonous. That statement is misleading. There is no strong scientific evidence that properly reheated spinach suddenly becomes a cancer-causing food. However, spinach is naturally rich in nitrates, which are harmless compounds found in many leafy vegetables. Under certain conditions, such as improper storage or bacterial contamination, some nitrates can be converted into nitrites. This is why proper food handling is much more important than fearing the vegetable itself. If you cook spinach, allow it to cool promptly and refrigerate it within about 2 hours. And when you are ready to eat it again, reheat only the amount you plan to consume and heat it thoroughly. Avoid leaving cooked spinach sitting on the counter for long periods, and avoid reheating the same portion over and over again. In fact, spinach remains one of the healthiest vegetables you can eat. It provides vitamins A, C, and K, along with folate, iron, magnesium, and antioxidants that support your overall health. The benefits of eating spinach far outweigh the myths that often circulate online. Now let's move to the third food, chicken. Chicken is one of the most common leftover foods in homes around the world. Whether it's grilled, baked, roasted, or added to soups, many people save it for another meal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with eating leftover chicken, but it must be handled correctly. Raw chicken can contain bacteria such as Salmonella or Campylobacter. Proper cooking destroys these bacteria, but if cooked chicken is left at room temperature for too long, new bacterial growth can occur. Simply warming the outside while the center remains cool may not make the food safe. This is why thorough reheating is essential. The chicken should be steaming hot all the way through. Large pieces may need to be cut into smaller portions so the heat reaches the center evenly. If you're using a microwave, pause halfway through heating and stir or turn the food before continuing. Microwaves can create hot and cold spots, and bacteria are more likely to survive in areas that don't reach a safe temperature. Another mistake I often see is reheating the same chicken several times. Imagine preparing a large tray of chicken, taking it out of the refrigerator each day, warming the entire tray, serving one portion, and then putting the rest back. Repeating this process increases the amount of time the food spends in temperatures where bacteria can multiply. Instead, divide leftovers into meal-sized containers before refrigerating them. Then only reheat the portion you plan to eat. This simple habit improves both food safety and food quality. There's another point worth remembering. Safe food storage begins immediately after the meal. Don't wait until bedtime to put leftovers away. Refrigerate them promptly in shallow containers so they cool more quickly. Large pots of food can stay warm in the center for hours, creating conditions where bacteria grow more easily. People often ask me whether it's better to throw away leftovers after a certain number of days. While exact timing depends on the food and storage conditions, if something smells unusual, has changed color, or you're uncertain how long it has been in the refrigerator, it's usually safer not to eat it. Food poisoning is far more costly than replacing one meal. So far, we've discussed cooked rice, spinach, and chicken. Notice the common theme. None of these foods become dangerous simply because they were reheated. The biggest risks come from poor storage, repeated reheating, and leaving food at unsafe temperatures for too long. In the final part, we'll discuss the fourth food that deserves extra attention, explain the biggest myths about reheating food and cancer, and I'll share simple kitchen habits that can help protect your health every single day. Now let's look at the fourth food, and it's one that almost everyone has in their refrigerator at some point. Potatoes. Potatoes are nutritious. They provide vitamin C, potassium, fiber, and complex carbohydrates that give your body steady energy. The problem isn't the potato itself. The concern is what happens when cooked potatoes are left sitting at room temperature for too long. Like many cooked foods, potatoes can become a breeding ground for bacteria if they aren't stored properly. If you bake or boil potatoes and then leave them on the kitchen counter for several hours, bacteria can multiply. Once that happens, simply reheating the potatoes may not eliminate all the harmful substances that certain bacteria produce. The safest approach is simple. After cooking, allow the potatoes to cool briefly, then refrigerate them within about 2 hours. Store them in a clean, covered container. When you're ready to eat them again, reheat only the portion you need until it is steaming hot all the way through. Avoid reheating the same potatoes multiple times. Now that we've discussed all four foods, rice, spinach, chicken, and potatoes, you've probably noticed something very important. The biggest danger is not that reheating these foods causes cancer. In fact, there's no strong scientific evidence that properly reheating these foods creates cancer. This is one of the most common myths shared on social media. The real concerns are food safety, bacterial growth from improper storage, and repeated heating and cooling, which can increase the risk of foodborne illness and reduce food quality. So if someone tells you that microwaving leftovers automatically causes cancer, that's simply not supported by scientific evidence. Microwave ovens heat food using electromagnetic waves that make water. Molecules vibrate, producing heat. They do not make food radioactive, and they do not magically create cancer-causing substances in properly handled food. Instead of worrying about myths, focus on habits that truly protect your health. First, refrigerate leftovers promptly. Don't let cooked food remain at room temperature for hours. Second, store food in small, shallow containers. They cool more quickly and reduce the opportunity for bacteria to grow. Third, only reheat what you plan to eat. Repeated heating and cooling should be avoided whenever possible. Fourth, make sure food is heated thoroughly. The center should be just as hot as the outside. Stir soups, rotate food in the microwave, and give larger portions enough time to heat evenly. Finally, don't keep leftovers indefinitely. If you're unsure how long something has been sitting in the refrigerator, or if it smells unusual, has changed texture, or looks different, it's usually best not to take the risk. But I want to leave you with one more important message. Good health is not determined by one meal or one leftover. It's the result of your daily habits. Eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. Choose whole grains more often than highly processed foods. Include healthy sources of protein. Stay physically active. Drink enough water throughout the day. Get 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. Keep your blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol under control with regular medical checkups. These are the habits that had the greatest impact on reducing the risk of chronic diseases, including many cancers, heart disease, diabetes, and kidney disease. Don't let internet myths distract you from what really matters. Safe food handling is important, but so is maintaining perspective. Leftovers can absolutely be part of a healthy lifestyle when they are stored correctly and reheated properly. So the next time you open your refrigerator, remember these 4 foods. Respect them, store them safely, reheat them correctly, and enjoy them without unnecessary fear. Your kitchen doesn't need to be a place of anxiety. It can be a place where simple, evidence-based habits help you and your family stay healthy for years to come. Thank you for watching. And if you found this information helpful, consider sharing it with someone who regularly prepares meals at home. Sometimes one simple food safety habit can prevent a serious illness and make every meal a little safer. Stay healthy, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Tomorrow morning, before you drink water or check your phone, try this 10-second health test. Stand up from your bed without using your hands. Now, pay attention. If you feel unusually dizzy, your balance seems off, or your legs feel much weaker than expected, don't ignore it. Occasionally, this can happen because of poor sleep or dehydration. But if it happens often, it may be worth discussing with a healthcare professional, because balance and muscle strength can reflect your overall health. Here's the challenge. Do this test for the next 7 mornings and notice if the same problem keeps showing up. Your body often gives small warning signs long before bigger problems appear. Follow for more simple health tips backed by science. ये टॉपिक अभी YouTube Shorts mein बहुत कम यूज हुआ है अहो हुक भी strong है.